Yes! Yes! Oh God, yes!
Sakura Wars is another game from the Sega Atlas camp alongside Catherine Full Body that is difficult to classify. It's not really a visual novel, it's not really an RPG, it's not really a mech action game, it's not really a dating sim. It's kind of all of them. I think I describe it much the way that I did Catherine Full Body. It's less of a clear-cut genre game and more of an experience. The experience is that of an anime. It has the look, feel, and structure of an anime series, and it is obviously what the developers were aiming for. It's incredibly stylish, with a very catchy opening movie and theme song. Between chapters you're treated to a next up sequence, and throughout each chapter you'll have intermissions and stingers, but maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's start with the story, though I think I already covered the premise in my preview, but anyway, you play as Kamiyama, a former Navy captain who has been snatched up by the Imperial Combat Review to captain the Flower Division. There are combat reviews all around the world tasked with protecting ordinary citizens from demons and other dangers. They do so by piloting powerful mechs called spherical strikers. Although this seems to be a relatively necessary service for humanity, at least some portion of each review is self-funded. The Imperial Combat Review gets their funding primarily from putting on shows and performances at the theatre that doubles as their base of operations. These story aspects, along with the fact that all members of the Flower Division are women, is the primary reason for the gameplay being a big amalgamation of many different genres. Or maybe it was the other way around? Gameplay can be anything from running errands around the theatre and Tokyo to building relationships and even romancing other characters to large-scale action combat mech battles and fairly basic dungeon crawling and platforming. Oh, and I mustn't forget about Koi Koi, an extremely addictive card game that you can pretty much play at any time. Now, I said fairly basic dungeon crawling and platforming, and although a launch day patch significantly improved the combat, it too isn't the deepest of systems. That isn't to say these things aren't fun, it's a little hack and slashy, but it gets the job done for the most part. There are also different kinds of combat segments, some of them are dungeon crawling and others are kind of like a point scoring competition. The reason I wanted to bring all of this up is because it's a stark contrast to pretty much every other major aspect of the game. They are far from basic. So far, in fact, you could easily make the argument that some of the mechanics are the best examples we've ever seen. Certainly the lips system is the best dialogue choice implementation I've ever experienced. There's a time limit which helps move the conversation along and make it feel more natural. There is plenty of variety in the choices, and if you let the time limit expire, it acts as if you have literally said nothing instead of just picking a choice for you. Your choices matter in multiple ways, but one of the more annoying aspects of dialogue choice systems is masterfully negated in Sakura Wars. See, your choices can affect the endings you'll have access to, because you'll need to max out the relationship with the character whose ending you'd like to see. But instead of making you take wild stabs in the dark or forcing you to play the game with a guide open next to you, during intermissions you can easily track the status of each of your friendships and relationships on this delightful little stinger screen. The way each scene plays out can also be drastically affected by the dialogue choices you make. It can go from incredibly funny to very somber or even a bit frightening. I'm usually not tempted to immediately replay a game, but I have to say that Sakura Wars is really tempting me. I've actually booted the game up multiple times now just to play a few rounds of Koi Koi. Accompanying the very anime sights and sounds are just straight up actual anime sequences. There are a substantial amount of fully animated cutscenes in Sakura Wars to help drive the story and bring added spectacle. The story itself is told through these sequences along with in-game cutscenes and the multitude of character and dialogue interactions. Pacing is a bit of what you make of it. If you choose to do absolutely every character interaction, it might feel a bit slow in some of the particularly dense chapters, but it is all optional. If you just don't care about a particular character, you don't have to keep doing their events. The final thing I want to give unmitigated praise to is the soundtrack. I know I have said this a whole lot already, but it's very anime. And when I say this, I'm not saying it's like all anime or like a particular anime, and I'm certainly not suggesting that all anime is the same. What I am trying to convey is that every facet of this game feels like it could have also been cohesively developed into an anime series instead of a game. It shoots for a specific aesthetic, a particular feel, and it nails it. And that is doubly true for the music, which I haven't been able to get out of my head for weeks. Sakura Wars is a successful reboot of the series in my book. It's got some flaws, or rather some things that could have been done better, but I absolutely enjoyed my time with the game, and I'd love to see them build from this foundation moving forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.
Thanks for the liking, subscribing, and the sharing!